بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The hadith we're about to discuss today was narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "May Allah brighten the face of a person who hears my words, understands them, memorizes them, and convey them to others." It may be that someone carries knowledge and gives it to one who understands it better than him. Three things will never allow a Muslim's heart to be corrupted: sincerity in deeds for Allah, advising the leaders of the Muslims, and staying with their community, with the congregation, with the jama'ah, for the supplication of the community, of the congregation, encompasses those behind them. This beautiful hadith highlights a number of issues. Among them is how to attain the brightness of the face. No creams, no lotions, no body care. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, "May Allah brighten the face of a person." Al-Imam al-Sindi said, this hadith means that may Allah grants him clearness of the face, glow and beauty, where he would be beautified and adorned through the knowledge he carries, which would take him to the adornment of Jannah. Al-Imam Ibn Uyayna says, may Allah have mercy on his soul, no one serves the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, meaning learning it, protecting it, studying it, and explaining it to others. No one does this except you will find in his face adornment and beauty and glow because of this hadith that gives the glad tiding. And this is something we could see. The scholars of Islam, those who act upon it and deliver it, you can see there is a glow in their face. It's not of makeup. It's not something made up or faked. Rather, it's a glow from Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, may Allah brighten the face of a person who hears my words, understands them, memorizes them, and conveys them to others. Which means that the person who would get this brightening of the face and the glow and the beauty has to do the following: listens and hears the hadith, memorizes it, continues to perfect it, and then he delivers it to the people without any distortion, without any shortening or summarizing or changing any of its words. Such a person, the Prophet had made dua for, so that his face would be enlightened, it would be beautified, adorned, and that would lead into his chest to be expanded, and his moral conduct to be perfected, and that he would be a person with content. Why would someone deliver it to others? The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, it may be that someone carries knowledge and gives it to one who understands it better than him. And this means that the narrator of the hadith, the one who reports the hadith, it's not his job to understand it and discover the gems in it. Al-Imam al-Mubarakfuri says, maybe the one who carries the knowledge might not be a knowledgeable person in the sense that he's not a juror, he's not someone who deals with fiqh, yet he memorizes it and delivers it to someone who can find its jewels, and then he would be rewarded for carrying it to someone who understands it better than him. Al-Imam al-Manawi says, in this hadith, it is clear that it's not a condition to understand what you report. It's a condition that you memorize correctly and accurately, while the faqih or the juror or the scholar, his job is to understand and to contemplate and to stem the gems from that hadith. Al-Imam al-Khattabi says, from this hadith we learn that it is not permissible, it is abhorred, it is makruh to summarize and shorten the hadith, so for someone who is not knowledgeable in fiqh. Because sometimes you tend to summarize and shorten the hadith and you lose the essence of it because you do not have the capability to understand it. And Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, says, in this hadith, dua, the Prophet is clearly giving this dua to those who carry the hadith, not to those who understand it and explain it. And you can just think how much knowledge those who understand it and explain it, and how much reward they would get if only the transporters are getting this dua. Then what about those who explain and understand? Definitely they are more rewarded. And Ibn Taymiyyah goes on to say, and this is why since many decades and ages ago, the scholars and the people of knowledge till date still praise and compliment those who carry the hadith and protect it for us. Al-Imam al-Shafi'i, may Allah have mercy on his soul, says, whenever I see a scholar of hadith, someone who spends his life writing the hadith, purifying it from any weak or fabricated hadith, looking into the chain of narrators, explaining the hadith, whenever I see a scholar of hadith, as if I've seen one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, because they're doing the same job. Imam Shafi'i also says, the people of hadith, the scholars of hadith, they've memorized and they narrated and reported the hadiths to us, so they have a hand, they have a favor upon us because they memorize that for us. Then the Prophet goes on to the punchline of our episode. He says, 3 things will never allow a Muslim's heart to be corrupted. And this is what we want. We want to have a healthy heart. A heart that would qualify us to meet Allah Azza wa Jalla on the Day of Judgment without any doubt, without any sin, that would allow us to enter paradise without any accountability. So these 3 characteristics, if you ensure that you have them in your heart will never be corrupt. It would never have or carry any grudges, and it would never betray. And this is what the word of the hadith means. The first thing is sincerity in deeds for Allah. And of course, the essence of Allah, the essence of Islam is to be sincere to Allah in whatever you do. Allah does not accept your deeds unless you have 2 conditions fulfilled. 1, that you do these deeds for His sake. 2, that you comply with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and you do not innovate. If one of the 2 conditions is not fulfilled, you're doomed and your deeds are rejected. Now, this needs episodes, but we don't have the luxury to do this. Ikhlas, sincerity, doing your deeds for the sake of Allah is the cornerstone of your ibadah. If you don't have it, if you're doing it to show off, if you're doing it to get more followers and more thumbs up and people talk about you, you're doomed. Always fight to purify your heart and to fill it with sincerity. Number 2, advising the leaders of the Muslims. And this is one of the attributes, the most honorable attributes that the heart of a Muslim individual could have. advising the Muslim leaders, it's an indication that you love goodness for the Muslims, for their leaders, for the public, and this is a sign of Iman. Tamim al-Dari, may Allah be pleased with him, said, the Prophet ﷺ said, the deen, the religion, is nasiha, is advice or sincerity. It can mean both meanings. So we said, advice to whom? So the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, to Allah, meaning you have to be sincere to Allah, to His book, to His messenger, and to the leaders of the Muslims and their common folk. So you advise them and be sincere to them. And Ibn al-Athir, may Allah have mercy on his soul, says, advice, it is a phrase that you can describe so many things with, but essentially it is wanting goodness to the one you're giving advice to. And there's no single word that can fit this huge meaning. When you advise someone, why do you do this? Very simple. I want goodness to come his way. And this is why we should always be careful when someone gives us an advice, not to take it offensively and not to be offended by it. Don't think that he's attacking you. He wants goodness for you. His intention is between him and Allah. Take what is good and leave what is bad. Ibn al-Qayyim says, when you have advice, you cannot have grudges, corruption, and betrayal, because it's totally opposite of these three. So whoever, Ibn al-Qayyim goes on to say, whoever gives advice to the leaders, to the imams, to the rulers, and to the public at large, then his heart is purified from such grudges, corruption, and hatred, and betrayal. Then the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, thirdly, and staying with their congregation, with the jama'ah, with the community, with the ummah. And Ibn al-Qayyim says, this is a clear sign that your heart has no evil, no corruption, no hatred, and no grudges. When you are with the congregation and refusing to be rebellious or to abandon them. Because when you are with the congregation and you give them advice and you love them and you love goodness for them, then you love goodness for yourself. And that would mean that your heart is purified. Ibn al-Qayyim says, this is totally different to those who take sides and leave the congregation and the jama'ah. Totally different for those who poke Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah and look down upon them, resent them, criticize them, like the Rafidah does, like the Khawarij, like the Mu'tazilah. All of these, they have their hearts filled with hatred, feelings of vengeance, betrayal. That's why you find the Rafidah the furthest from all people from sincerity, and the most corrupt against the Muslim rulers and the Ummah at large, and the furthest from the Jama'ah of the Muslims. This is the testimony of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the testimony of the Ummah. And this is what they testify against themselves. Never ever there was an enemy of Islam except they would support him. And they would stand shoulder to shoulder with him. They would give him advice against the Ummah. This is what Ibn al-Qayyim says. And at the end of the time, where is the largest supporters of the Antichrist, the Dajjal? Where will they come from? From Asbahan. 70,000 would follow him. They're being groomed there, raised and nourished today. And this just gives you an indication. Al-Imam al-Qari says, to be with the congregation, with the community, is to be with them in the aqeedah, in the creed. So you have to be with the aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, to believe in what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions and the tabi'een and tabi'at tabi'een believed in, and not to follow these deviant cults and sects who manipulate Allah's beautiful names and attributes, among other things. You have to be with the congregation in doing good deeds, such as praying Fridays, praying congregational prayer, and other things like that. Imam As-Sa'di, may Allah have mercy on his soul, says, whoever is sincere in his deeds, and he always advises people, rulers, the general folk with goodness, and he's always with the congregation, with the community, does not go against them, does not differ with them, his heart will be pure gold. It would be clear, and he would be a wali and an ally to Allah Azza wa Jal. And if he's not like that, then his heart would be filled with corruption, hatred, grudges, and betrayal. Then finally the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, for the supplication of the community encompasses those behind them, which means that when you are with the community and the congregation and you give advice to the imams and the rulers and you're sincere, the da'wah, the supplication of all Muslims in the world would encompass you alongside with them, so it would protect you from the evils of shaitan and from going astray. It will act like a huge shield, and this is an indication that whoever comes out of the congregation will never get the blessings of the Muslims and the blessings of their dua, because he's away and cannot be encompassed with them. I know that many youngsters who were not raised upon Quran and Sunnah may not like what they hear. And this is a sign of hypocrisy. When they come to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and they say that, oh, no, we don't want to be with the community and the congregation because we see many signs of corruption. The leaders are this, the leaders are that, the rulers are this, the rulers are corrupt, they are kafir, they're not ruling by Allah's law. And they start to give rulings and verdicts which diverts them from the straight path and puts them in line with the deviated cults and sects. This is how the Khawarij came to light. When you do not follow the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and his teachings, you think that I know more. And anyone who speaks the truth and tells you that this is Islam, there is no such thing as democracy. There is no such thing as freedom of speech in Islam that allows you and entitles you to come and criticize the Muslim ruler. Yes, if he does something wrong, we give him advice. The scholars, the people of authority would be obliged to give him advice. This is their duty in Islam, but not to go in public shaming him, criticizing him, putting him down, taking the respect out of people's hearts as if he's a normal person. This is not Islam. If you have an issue with Islam, this is your problem. Not everyone who explains the Quran and explains the Prophet's hadith sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a boot-licking, whatever, kissing individual. This is not true. What we do is we explain the religion and we show the aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, even if people don't like it. We don't take a penny from them. We don't have any favors from them. We try our level best to be independent, only depending on Allah Azza wa Jal. But this doesn't mean that it entitles us to go out of our aqeedah and sharia and criticize them and say bad things about them. It is not permissible. We have to give them advice. We have to make dua for them. Even if people are not listening, we do make dua for them, that Allah Azza wa Jal would make them steadfast, that Allah would avenge the Muslims through them and to guide them and to grant them good followers and good companions. But this does not at all mean that we turn a blind eye to what is against Sharia or not to advise them. And at the same time, it doesn't entitle us or allow us to go and criticize them publicly like the Khawarij may do. We have to obey and adhere, as the Prophet said to us, alayhi salatu wasalam. Only those have clean hearts and pure hearts. Others, you can see it in their face. No glow, no brightening of the face. And there is no barakah in what they do, because all what they want is chaos and mayhem. All what they want is bloodshed. Look at the Arab Spring and what it caused the Muslim world in the past 12 or 13 years. Destruction, misplacement, migration in the millions. And who won? Nobody. So if we don't abide by the Quran and the Sunnah, our hearts would be tarnished, would be filled with hatred, with betrayal, with grudges, like the Prophet has warned us, ﷺ, and we would lose the glow, we would lose the beautification and adornment